Welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Matt.
And I'm Karen. Today we're looking at part 2 of Desmond Tutu, A Voice for Change. So we know that Desmond Tutu is a voice for change because of all the things that he's done for the people and society, right? And especially issues or problems towards racism. So what is racism?
Well, racism is when people have certain ideas or opinions about other people based on their outward appearance, on what race they might be, so the color of their skin or certain physical characteristics.
That's right, and which is really, really unfair, right?
That's
if you're
right.
being treated unequally because of your race or the color of your skin. So I think, because I'm from Canada, you're from Canada, I think in Canada in general, it's quite multicultural. You have a lot of people coming from different countries. So maybe there's still racism, but there's not actually a lot of racism. I haven't really experienced any myself. But I know in a lot of countries, racism still exists. It's still a big problem,
right? It can still be a big problem for a lot of people, and that they might not get treated fairly in things like getting a job or going to school, and just the way they're treated by, by other people around them.
That's right, or maybe even like, doing the same job but unequal pay, right? So I think this is certainly something that everyone should pay attention to because everyone wants to be treated equally, right? And this is also why we need someone like Desmond Tutu because he made a lot of positive changes to our world.
That's right.
Okay, so let's learn more about Desmond Tutu.
Tutu served well and quickly rose to higher positions. He used his power to help black youths. He set up self-help programs, scholarships, and more. Tutu also used his voice to speak out against apartheid. He called for change, and he emphasized using peaceful ways to create that change. In 1984, Tutu received the Nobel Peace Prize for his work.
Looking at part 2 of Desmond Tutu, A Voice for Change. So today we will learn more wonderful things that he did for the society, right?
Right. Tutu served well and quickly rose to higher positions.
He served well. Remember we talked about the word serve, right? Is to provide help and become useful and helpful to the people. So he served them really well and quickly rose to higher positions. So higher position is our next vocabulary word, and that is a noun. Basically, it's like a role you play in an organization. So if he rose to a higher position, that means maybe he will have more people working under him. He's in charge of more problems and more things, right?
And we can use this term position for anything in something like for example, this is the church, but also in a company, in your job, you can be given a new position or a different position in a company.
That's right, like manager is a position too in a company, right? Okay, let's continue. He used his power to help black youths. He set up self-help programs, scholarships, and more. Okay, so there's quite a lot of vocabularies to look at.
So our first one is youth. So youth is a noun, and it just means a youth would be a young person. So when we talk about youths, we mean young people. So in this case, we're talking about young black people in South Africa.
Maybe they're still in school, perhaps teenagers, right?
Yes, so young meaning usually, up to about less than 18.
That's right. You consider that young, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And self-help programs. So we're talking about self-help programs. So basically self-help means like something that may be a process or something that you learn where you can help yourself instead of getting other people to help you. So nowadays we have a lot of books on self-help. So if you feel like maybe you're troubled by something, you feel sad about something, you feel like you want to improve yourself, you can get these books on self-help. And they have different steps or different ways to help you, how to help yourself, right?
Yes, these are very popular books now, self-help books.
That's right.
My father likes them.
I like them too. Okay, and the next vocabulary word is scholarship. And that is also a noun. And scholarship basically is the amount of money that is given by maybe an organization or maybe a company or the government to the students for them to help them pay their student tuition fee. Because sometimes we know that going to school might be really expensive, and maybe they can show how much effort they're putting in, or they're doing really well in sports, they're really doing well in school, and they might have scholarships from different organizations or companies.
That's right. Some schools will use scholarships to attract students. So if they want someone who's really good at basketball to come to their school, they can give them a scholarship so that they will be more likely to go to that school.
That's right. Okay, let's continue. Tutu also used his voice to speak out against apartheid. Okay, so we know that using your voice is when you're speaking, right? He used his voice, maybe talking to the public and making a change. And he wanted to speak out against apartheid because he didn't agree with that, right?
That's right.
So speaking out against something means that you don't agree with that, and of course you're not going to stay quiet. You want to make your voice heard, and you want changes to be made, right? So everyone might be different. So are you the type, Matt, to stay quiet, or are you the type to speak out against something?
I think against a larger thing like in a society or country, I might want to speak out. But for more like small things, like maybe you see someone being like rude to someone else who's working at a convenience store or something, I'm probably not likely to speak out because
You'll stay quiet,
I don't want to get involved. But I have a friend who always likes to speak out against anything he thinks is not right. So he might actually go up and say something to that rude person.
That's right. And you can also speak out against bullying, because we know that bullying is actually a really big problem in schools, right? So if you're being bullied or you see someone being bullied, like, do you just stay quiet, or do you, speak out to say something, right? I think there are different things that you can do to help. Okay, let's continue.
He called for change, and he emphasized using peaceful ways to create that change. So he said emphasize. Emphasize is a verb, and it means to give a special importance to something, to make something more important than other things. So he emphasized using peaceful ways means that you should not use violence or any other ways, but just try to use peaceful ways, so things that do not cause harm, but hopefully can help to make the change.
Which is the best way if you want to make any changes? If you use violence, I think a lot of people will stop listening to what you want to say, right?
I think so too. So in 1984, Tutu received the Nobel Peace Prize for his work.
And he certainly deserves it.
I think so.
Well, let's take a short break and we'll be right back to learn more.
10 years later, black South Africans got their freedom. Tutu called this new South Africa the Rainbow Nation. The Archbishop continued working to bring people together until his last breath.
Welcome back. We're continuing to talk about Desmond Tutu and the great things he did in South Africa to help make a change. So, for his work in South Africa, he managed to win a Nobel Peace Prize.
That's right. Nobel Prize I've heard, but Nobel Peace Prize. Can you explain that?
Well, they have many Nobel Prizes, and usually they're for things like science or medicine. But this one in particular is for peace. So for promoting peace, or to make sure that people are, freedom and peace, people are living
peacefully, right?
Peacefully, that's right. So that countries are not fighting, or that people are not fighting within their own countries.
Which is really important. Okay, let's continue. 10 years later, Black South Africans got their freedom. Aww, all because of Desmond Tutu, right? So freedom is our next vocabulary word, and that is a noun. So freedom just basically means that the ability that you're able to do whatever you want to do, right? To be in the state of being free. So there are so many different kind of freedom. The freedom of speech is to be able to say whatever you want to say, right? And everyone should have their own freedom.
That's right, everyone should be free to do what they want to do. Tutu called this new South Africa the Rainbow Nation.
The Rainbow Nation?
Yeah.
First of all, what's a rainbow?
So a rainbow is the color spectrum that you see in the sky when it's raining and there's some sun shining through it.
Ah,
so
that's right.
You might see what's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Those are the colors that make up a rainbow.
That's right. So why did he call it the Rainbow Nation?
Rainbow Nation. So nation is a word that means country.
That's right.
And so this is a rainbow nation because it's colorful nation. It means people of all different colors living together.
So same thing like we mentioned before. So that means everyone will be equal, right? So that's actually a great name, the Rainbow Nation. Okay. The Archbishop continued working to bring people together until his last breath. So we know that, he continued working to bring people together. That part I understand. But when we say until his last breath, that means until the day he died?
Yeah, well, as we mentioned in the first part of the article, we lost Desmond Tutu to cancer in 2020.
That's right.
So your last breath is the last breath that you take
before you die.
Before you die. So he was working from this point until the last breath, his last second of life.
That's right. So basically it just means that he's working until the very, very end of his life, right? He's doing everything, he was doing everything that he could to help people. And I think that's why people really do remember Desmond Tutu. And he is definitely a hero to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think he made a lot of great changes, especially in South Africa, and has made it so that it's more of a, integrated, it's more of a society where people can live together peacefully and all different colors equally, making up that rainbow nation.
Definitely. Wow, we learned so much about Desmond Tutu, and I think he was really a wonderful person. But that's all the time we have for today, though, so I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
Tutu served well and quickly rose to higher positions. He used his power to help black youths. He set up self-help programs, scholarships, and more. Tutu also used his voice to speak out against apartheid. He called for change, and he emphasized using peaceful ways to create that change. In 1984, Tutu received the Nobel Peace Prize for his work. 10 years later, black South Africans got their freedom. Tutu called this new South Africa the Rainbow Nation. The Archbishop continued working to bring people together until his last breath.
Hi, I'm Tina. 我们来看一下这一课的重点单字。第一个 youth， 名词，青年、年轻人。The youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow. 今日的青年是明日的领袖，意思就是国家未来的栋梁啊。The youth 在这里指的是年轻人的总称。下一个单字 emphasize， 动词，强调。She emphasized the importance of fresh fruit and vegetables in the diet. 她强调新鲜的水果和蔬菜在饮食中的重要性。下一个单字 freedom， 名词，自由。Everyone should be allowed freedom of speech. 每个人都应享有言论自由。Speech 就是名词，演讲、言论。最后一个单字 rainbow， 名词，彩虹。The sun came out and we saw a rainbow in the sky. 太阳出来了，我们看见天边有一道彩虹。 接着我们来看一下重点文法。第一个 speak out against something， 直言反对某个事物。Speak out 指的是大声说出、直言不讳的意思。我们来看看下面这个例句。Jenny was the only one to speak out against the manager's decision. 只有 Jenny 一个人直言反对经理的决定。下一个文法 call for something， 呼吁某个事物。Call 在这里是动词，要求、请求的意思。我们来看看下面这个句子。The employees are calling for a 10% raise. 员工们请求加10%的薪水。Employee 是名词，员工。最后一个文法 until one's last breath， 直到某个人生命的最后一刻。Breath 指的是呼吸、气息。那么这个片语它表面上的意思呢，就是直到某个人最后一口气，也就是说，直到某个人生命的最后一刻。我们来看看下面这个情境。Mike, you know how much I like you. Can I be your girlfriend?
Tina, stop it. I already have a girlfriend.
I'll wait.
Don't do that.
I'll wait for you until my last breath. 以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，我们下一课再见喽，拜拜。
Hey guys, I'm Ian.
And I'm Toi.
And today we're playing a game called Word Drop, where we each have different words or phrases on these 3 index cards, and we're going to casually work them into our conversation today.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think I'll start.
Yeah, you start first. All right, ready? Go ahead.
So, when it rains, it is always very gloomy for me. I get really sad when it's raining because I prefer the sunshine. I prefer feeling the sun beat on my face and just make my heart warm. But when it rains, it's really hard to be happy during the rain. But whenever I see a rainbow, it makes me smile.
Oh, rainbows, so lovely. And it's so interesting how the rainbows have now taken on a different meaning in different communities also, isn't that true?
That's very true.
So yeah, I think also you think about this is when you're young, you have kind of like no choice but to live wherever your parents live. For the most part, you're a caretaker, I guess. And I grew up in New York and like it snowed. I remember one April it snowed when I was in high school and I was like, what is going on here? But yeah, I think like for the youth, you just don't really have much of a choice of like where you want to live.
That's very true. When I was younger, I grew up in Texas. And so for me, living in Dallas wasn't by choice, but I tried to make the most of it. And one of the things that is really big in Texas is sports. Everyone plays a sport, especially football, basketball, running track. Everyone's involved in something else outside of school. And so I would also say in Texas, sports is emphasized a lot in Texas.
Yeah, I could see that. It's so interesting. In New York City, it's the opposite. Like nobody played sports. We didn't have a football team. Like I think the only thing we had was like track. We maybe had like bowling. I went to like a different high school though. So like, yeah, sports was definitely not emphasized. I would say we did have like a Holocaust like museum in my high school, one of the first ones in my high school. And it kind of talked a lot about like the freedom of the Holocaust survivors and then like, you know, on that path to being liberated after the war.
Yeah. In Dallas, we also have a Holocaust museum. Spent a lot of time going there for different field trips and everything. And so it was really nice to be able to have some survivors come and talk to us, even talking about how they saw someone in one of the gas chambers and watched them until they had their last breath, until their last breath.
Yeah, that's can be a bit dark. I feel like with, you know, a lot of politics that's happening today, I think there's a lot of people feeling like, you know, a lot of these same sentiments are occurring. And people are calling for for more attention for equal rights for women, for minorities, for people of the LGBT community. Yeah.
See you next time.